was the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Yasser Arafat was the leader.
Yes.
And in 2004, they formally got the PLO approved, sanctioned, recognized by the United Nations. They had elections. Yasser Arafat won. So he had two hats, and of course he used to wear the typical Arab
Dress.
eager scarf, which a lot of other benefits do it also. Indira Gandhi also. Okay, he started negotiating. Okay, because before that, the 1956 war, lots of area of Egypt, Syria, Jordan was won over by Israel. Then they have a 65 war. Now, how it affects the geopolitics there, right? That Nasser had, in a coup, he was a colonel at that time, dethroned King Farouk. So it was a government of the army, as a coup leader. And he became very popular. He had an idea of grand Arab nations group. He was also a member, that country was a member of our non-aligned movement. Navy was there, and Yugoslavia's Tito was there. Now remember, Yugoslavia also broke up afterwards completely. Nasser made a movement about making the Suez Canal. No, we are in 56. First, Suez Canal to nationalize. Suez Canal is the connection you see here, where you connect, let's see, side to Mediterranean. And 60% of the world's traffic, sea traffic, passes through
Suez Canal, yes.
and is therefore very, very profitable. It was a private canal.
It was a private canal?
Absolutely, absolutely, till 1956.
Okay.
For more than a century.
Okay.
And though in the beginning there is some history about, how the different companies changed hands, shares, etc., and who had it and all that, but it was basically owned by the French and the British.
Okay.
So in 1956, and this is also a classic study, what happens if a country becomes independent. Egypt became independent because of the influence of UK earlier in 1947. So when he said nationalize, because this is a substantial part of the GDP of Egypt now, in terms of earnings. As I said, 60% of the world sea traffic passes through it. And he got it passed in the cabinet saying, we will nationalize it. But a nice thing, he said, we will give compensation to this company. Okay, let's discuss it. They said nothing doing, and they start talking about regime change, etc., etc. And so he had his forces there and took over. Now, the US and British and French became against him. Okay. Now what happens is comes 1967, because he starts becoming very popular in the Arab world. The Iraqis are trying it, and the Iranians are trying it, and the Saudi Arabians are trying it, but no, nobody is comparable to him. Egypt is an old civilization too, and now they're making money out of this traffic. So the army were trained. By the way, a lot of effort on that army training is in India. They used to come to India for training. Now, so when they attack, so to say, Israel, from three sides, from Sinai side, from the West Bank side, and who else? Yeah, Jordan, from the Jordanian side, and Israel gives them solid beating. And this war will then linger on. Some ceasefire takes place and all that. 67. Meanwhile, Nasser gets assassinated. And Saddam came, who will later on get assassinated after the Camp David war. Because then, once they again have a war in 1973, and they again get a beating by Israel, So Egypt they decide that, we have to shake hands. Okay. Now there are two things. Palestinians. Okay, but they can't help it. These countries are like part of it. Israel is the center of it. So there is a spillover on both sides. There is a desire to attack it, and there is a desire from their point to attack them, and desire for Israel to take more territory. So when it took 4-5 years after 73 to have negotiations and all that, and Israel returns most of the Sinai. That's it. Where now the refugees will be going.
Okay.
Because Rafale is the place from where they have opened the humanitarian corridor.
Okay.
And then they returned part of things. But if we can see the picture, Palestinians get small areas, like colonies in between.
Right.
And they're surrounded by Israel.
Israel.
So their water system, the sewage system, the
all controlled by
electric system, and so on, and roads, and where they can go. So this becomes like a group of prisons in a wider prison. Everywhere there is a barbed wire around. See, therefore, it mentally affects a lot. So now, which are the other groups which happen? PLO wins the election in West Bank area, which is near Syria, because there is support also from Syria next door. And after in 2006, Yasser Arafat dies. Most people may say it's assassinated, but whatever it is, Abbas takes over, and Abbas is there. So I had talked about two heads. Arafat was chairman of the Palestinian Liberal Organization, and then president of, you can say, Palestinian nation. So what happens is that there is a disconnect with the Gaza Strip, and they lose the election there. Okay, and this organization Hamas in 2004, which is, by the way, till that time a social service organization.
Okay.
They are the ones who set up the only university there. They are the ones who set up medical centers and hospitals and schools and colleges and whatnot. They were a social service organization. And it is on that basis that they beat up PLO, because PLO had started talking about shaking hands with Israel.
Israel, right.
Yeah. While Palestinians who are living there, are saying, what, we have no property, we're second-class citizens, we have voting rights, this, that, and so on, so forth. So it pinches them. PLO also runs its government on the basis of aid. And the Gaza Strip is worse because there is 40%, 50% unemployment, because no industries there, no jobs there, infrastructure is made by somebody else.
Right.
So
it's, you want to say the mental trauma which the Palestinians are facing because they are surrounded by Israelis?
See, it's like this, once it becomes a geopolitical issue, okay, there are people within the Arab world also who want something going on there. Okay. Now, once they have
their own motives,
agenda,
hidden motives.
Not hidden, stated motive.
Okay.
We have a very good interview with Faisal, Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia, a few days ago. He explains all this. And one of the conclusions is that if Hamas becomes the ruling power there, right, they will send all these guys up to us.
Okay.
Job chain will go. Right? So, this is only one simple explanation, but then multiple explanations. Multiple explanation is that for 75 years, if you have been homeless within your home,
yes,
and you see with your own eyes Israel citizens becoming the highest per capita income in the world, see the difference, and you are one of the lowest per capita income in the world, right? So they have worked very hard for it, though. But that means in this area itself, if they've figured out some land where drip irrigation and this, that, and become very productive, and our land is no productivity. They have water, we don't have even water, right? Even drinking water. Now, WHO released some statistics yesterday that they've done it with graphics. 100 liters a day if it is required. These guys have half per head. So, no water for washing utensils, yourself, hardly for drinking. Okay, now that is the difference. Because next door, you can say practically, next colony, you will see that they are living a very different life. And they are living a very different life on my land. On my land, okay. So this is the crux of the problem, which only statesmen can resolve. So now,
that's what I was coming to. That
Yeah.
here comes the role of the government or
government
the
form in इनका जो, because some people manage na that Hamas is not PLO. See, if PLO had won, they would have got strengthened. So somebody kills Arafat also. And in which way, actually Hezbollah was going to win. That is the other thing, which they keep on saying terrorists. But you and me or anybody else has not heard which terrorist acts they have done. Hezbollah or Hamas. You've not heard anything. Which terrorist? But a label is put. So Hezbollah is in command there because Hezbollah openly is
so
supported.
I would put it as the role of their leaders come into picture.
Role of
The
their leaders
international organizations role come.
They came because Yasser Arafat shook the hands, right? And at that time, Begin, the Prime Minister of Israel, shook the hands. They went to Camp David, right? By the way, both of them got assassinated. So you have to see how strong the public's opinion. See, first you build up the public opinion. Now you build up the public opinion that Hamas is bad guys. Okay? And USA claps it, and everybody else claps it. And now with whom will you make a deal? Supposing this ceasefire has to be done, which US and UK itself has put into the Nadi, but with whom will you do this ceasefire? In Gaza?
So quite interesting. We can continue with this in the next episode because a lot of things have surfaced out with this discussion. Quite interesting facts have come out. I was not knowing that Suez Canal was a private canal for almost 100 years. So that's very interesting. And yes, how this ceasefire will happen, that's another topic of discussion. We'll talk about it in our next episode.
If you can give me a few minutes, let me say therefore what has happened. You talk about the leadership and all that. The latest is that China and Russia have said that there should be a ceasefire. Israel, USA, and USA's NATO allies say no. Okay. Leadership की बात. Mr. Joe Biden has said that 100 billion may be extra allotted to Ukraine, Israel, and Palestine, military aid. And we will consider $100 million aid. $100 billion, $100 million, 1:1,000. Okay. And then there are people who oppose it and support it. Okay, now we go next. Who has declared the war in this case? Israel has declared. Nobody this side will declare the war. Okay. So therefore a war will be imposed on it. Now the question is ceasefire. Who is the ceasefire? Right? And if the ceasefire is not there, Russia and China and others have tried, then there will be immeasurable destruction there. And it can be of Israel also.
Right.
Because the weapons have become different. Okay. Iran will come and join Hezbollah. Hezbollah will attack from the West Bank side. But before they attack, it is full page news today that Israel will fight a three-front war.
Okay.
Israel will fight a three-front war. And they were just waiting for these guys to be released, hostages to be released. And two of them have been released by Hamas, you can say. And otherwise, in few days' time, because they have not agreed, there is some agreement which US has given and Egypt has given that they can make at Rafal Gate. And 500 trucks are already lined up there for humanitarian aid, right? Okay. But only during the intermission when the war is not there. Right? These people will die. Therefore, what will happen is a permanent, once again, it is like old wounds being So in UN, USA won only a voting for even humanitarian. Right? Now people will not forget it. On one hand, you say international based order, democratic values, human rights, women's rights, children's rights, and rights for
LGBTQ.
That they are very keen. But they are not concerned with rights of what WHO has said. There are 50,000 pregnant women who are not getting anything.
Exactly. That's what
and where will they go?
We want to talk about that. Let's not be parted by our biased view or some pre notions to a particular nation. Let's look at from an humanitarian angle.
And every situation is different.
Yes.
And this is like since even earlier, but let's say 1947, this has been a continuous conflict. Sometimes low intensity, sometimes it goes up like this. Low intensity, it goes up like this. So we have made the graph. And the deaths, corresponding deaths. Now 5,000 deaths have already taken place. Small number. These are small population countries.
Exactly.
Few million. Right? And
the world has changed. When there were 100 deaths in COVID, everybody was talking about.
Yes.
Even for these 5,000 deaths, people are not concerned because...
No, you don't know who has died. Nobody shows you a picture of anybody dead.
Exactly.
These are numbers.
Yes.
Therefore, it's like stock market, unfortunately.
Yes.
Up, down, that's all.
Commodity market.
Okay, so we will close it by here. That, unfortunately, therefore, in the UN, first resolution by the Russia, struck down by the veto powers people, and the second one just for humanitarian corridor, struck down by US. Right? So now, therefore, let's see what happens. Yeah. Now, how will they say that you are the good guys? You just because you have purse? No, others also have purse. Yes. Arab countries have not got purse. They got plenty of purse.
Great. So we'll continue with this in our next episode, and join us for that because a lot of other interesting facts will be unrevealed during that episode. Thank you. Thank you for this.